you doing, Michael?
Yeah, I love those introductions I get because whenever I appear on any show, it's always this guy is going to have a lot to say, and I will today, honestly.
There's a lot. There's a lot to say,
'Cause-
man. There's a lot to say.
yeah, yeah. Like first things first, I was in a car today. I was driving when the game was on, so I
Oh,
had
you're
it in
so
the
lucky.
background.
You're so
Yeah,
lucky you didn't see it.
yeah, I had it. I had it in the background, but I couldn't like focus totally on it because of course, I had to look at the road, right? But nevertheless, I like saw some things. I saw us losing the ball plenty of times. I saw us being wasteful in the final third. And the funniest thing is that I got to my destination at the 88th minute mark. So I turned the stream off. I start unpacking. I come to my flat. I check the score, and it's 2-0. And I'm like, what the fuck happened? Like, because it all had like a draw written all over it, in my opinion. And honestly, I don't want to say that we deserved a draw, but I think it would be a fair
Yeah.
scoreline, in my opinion. Like, of
Yeah.
course, with the last like 3 to 5 minutes that Sporting got, they deserved the win. But throughout the whole game, I feel like even though we are extremely wasteful in the final third, as I said, I feel like they haven't like put dangerous balls into our box. Like there was that one chance at the end of the first half that I saw when I was on a break, like on a gas station. But other than that, I don't think this game was maybe that bad. But the scoreline now, after those final 5 minutes, looks really bad, and it honestly changes the performance from like 5 out of 10, in my opinion, to like a 2 or 3 maybe. Because it's a similar thing when we were playing Brighton last season and we lost 1-0. And the whole game we were keeping them at bay. There weren't many difficult situations for our defense, but we shut ourselves in the final minutes. And the Conte said after this game, if you don't win the game, at least draw it. And we failed to do that today. So yeah, it, you know, like we can get into talking about certain players because I've been more defensive towards Sonny maybe than you were still. Because you were saying that he should have been like rested, dropped, or whatever word you wanna use. Like a few games ago, I was one of the people saying like give him time, allow him to play against Nottingham Forest. I hope he will score. He didn't. Then against West Ham, I hope he will score. He didn't. Against Marseille, I hope he will score. And we come up with all those excuses to convince ourselves that he should be
Yeah.
starting. But at this point, not only for our sake but also for his sake, in my opinion, we should rest him because even though he had like meaningful impacts on certain games like Marseille or Fulham, you cannot change the fact that we didn't score until he came off the pitch and Kulusevski came on, as far as I remember, against Marseille. And similar thing happened with Fulham. I think that we look like more dangerous without him on the ball, without him on the pitch. Sorry, and it honestly pains me to fucking say that. I hate myself for saying that because like we all, I love him to bits. He's the player that drew me to Tottenham. He and Eriksen are the reasons why I support this club. Why I started supporting this club, of course. And it pains me to say that, but if he needs a rest, then he should get a rest, right? And you know, yeah. What else? I think like our back three in this game wasn't bad. I subscribe to your points about Romero. I don't think that he is fully fit, and ever since he came back, he didn't look like his old self. And
Yep.
again, I tend to say that a lot, that the bar was raised so high in the previous season that we now expect a lot more. Because when we are playing under Mourinho and we are scraping those wins 1-0, 2-0, but we didn't expect much from that team, but we are getting results and we are like kind of happy. Of course, the fan base was more on the fence with Mourinho than they are with Conte, right? But then Conte came, and the ending of last season was perfect in my opinion. We were amazing to watch in my opinion. But with a few exceptions like Burnley or Brighton, but those matches happen, right? But the bar was set so high that right now both the team, the players, the management, we expect a lot from them, in my opinion. And unfortunately, they aren't delivering right now. And it has to be called out that Royal was shit today. Back three was okay in my opinion. Perisic was okay. I think that Bentancur was bad today. He lost the ball a couple of times. I think Højbjerg was.
Michael, sorry, you said you said the back three was good today. What do you make of Romero today?
I mean, I've said that.
Sorry, beg your pardon. Carry on.
Worries.
Ignore me.
I think that he carries a knock or something. I don't think that he's fully fit and at his best, but that led me to say the things about like raising expectations, and that our expectations of the team are high, because like Romero at like throughout the majority of last season was pretty much, I don't want to say perfect, but he was an extremely good playing defender, right? And right now he isn't like at his best, and some people start to criticize him. But I think that back three was okay, and Perisic was okay. I think that Højbjerg didn't necessarily play like that bad, but like the right side of the pitch and the front, in my opinion, were really bad this game. All three of our attackers. Richarlison was probably like the best of the lot, but I don't think that I don't think that other two gave him a lot of competition for the title of best playing attacker in our team, because like Kane wasn't good today either. Like I know that Sonny is getting a lot of flack because of his like previous performances, but Kane today wasn't that good.
I disagree, Michael. I don't think Kane wasn't bad. I don't think he was bad. I saw Kane having to drop into midfield because nothing was being created, and he actually made two key passes that ended up being offside, not because of him, because of the timing of the run. Had they been offside, that's potentially 2 goals for us. I think Kane actually played okay. His passing wasn't great in general, but nobody's was on the pitch today. But I think Kane actually played better than what people are saying. You're not the only one that said it. Quite a few people said Kane tonight wasn't, in the comments as well. But I just felt that when you're not getting service, what's he supposed to do?
I don't mean that he was dreadful or anything, but there have been plenty of games in the previous season. Again, the previous season is like a bar of expectations for me, that in those games he was like pretty much perfect. Every pass that he played was really good, right? And Son and Richarlison are making those runs, and yes, 2 or 3 of his passes found their target. Unfortunately, they were offside, but I think that there were plenty others that he overshot, or he misplaced the pass. Again, he wasn't like perfect for me. He wasn't dreadful. He was somewhere in the middle. But again, I expect more.
How many passes or crosses were set up for him today?
Yeah, none, and that's I subscribe to what you said about the
then he's having to go into a position that he doesn't really play and try and now become a different player, and you can do it in a couple of games and it works, but if you're always having to do it, it's not always going to work. I just think, Michael, I really believe this, that if we get a proper creative attacking wing back and a proper midfielder that can get on the ball, control a game and create, I think this team changes dramatically. I think you see a big shift. 2 players, I just don't think we've got them though. Maybe Spence, but we don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, like we can all talk about the creative midfielder, but we can't get him until January, so we have to find, Conte has to find a solution with the player that he has. And I watched like a 30-minute YouTube video about Conte's Chelsea and how they were playing and what personnel he had. And I know that though that bunch of players were better than our squad, but he had a couple of ways to solve the midfield issue. And like some things were I mean there were like a couple different options he used. It was either Hazard dropping into the number 10 role. It was one of the wing backs joining to create the like a free. So basically in transition they were playing a 4-3-3 because one of the wing backs was tucking in, or it was one of the center backs that played upwards, and the two were left in the back line. So those are the ways to solve that issue. The question is, can our players like do that? Because I don't see Royal joining midfield. I don't see like Kane is dropping back, but yeah.
You know that Chelsea team? Let me tell you what their defense was, okay?
Yeah,
Marcus Alonso, Gary Cahill, John Terry, and Azpilicueta. Hands down, that protects the midfield and the attackers far greater than what we can. We've got Emerson, a 33-year-old Perisic, who is showing a little bit of difficulty in his defensive duties. Ben Davies, Dyer, Sanchez. I just think that Conte team, not just in the midfield, which he adjusted, and you're right in what you say, but the protection at the back was far superior than what we can offer at the moment. Other than Romero, for me, nobody gets into that Conte Chelsea side.
True. And, he would also, like Romero would have to displace Azpilicueta from that team. So I would even argue that he doesn't get into that Chelsea side just because of how good Azpilicueta was a few years ago, right? But, what I meant is that those four options are a way to solve that issue of like getting overrun in the midfield and, lack of creativity in the midfield. Either one of the four was dropping or one of the backline tucking in or wing backs helping out, right? The problem for me is that either our players aren't good enough to perform that roles, or we lose too much by dropping Kane into the midfield. Because, he passes the ball really good, but, the only thing that he can do when he drops into the midfield is like spray those passes to Richarlison and Son for those like darting runs between the defenders. But doesn't that make us a bit one-dimensional, in my opinion? Because watching Spurs this season, I feel like we are a bit one-dimensional. It's always the ball from like the backline to Kane. Kane flicks it on to Son or Richarlison. And if Kane gets interrupted or if the ball gets taken away from Richarlison and Son, we aren't like dangerous. And we aren't creating much else other than crosses from Perisic, because Royal can't like hit the fucking bar door from 5 meters. So yeah, like as I said, the problem for me is that we have to find a solution with the players that we have. And I do realize why people are talking about like bringing in a third midfielder, but the midfielders that we have don't solve that issue, right? We can like gamble with Spence or Doherty. I mean, Doherty isn't that big of a gamble, but he is coming back from an injury, right? So we can either gamble or gamble pretty much, and maybe we should actually gamble because yeah, but because the way we are playing right now doesn't work.
Gamble. Let's gamble.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Like,
last question, Michael. What are you
sure.
going to change for the Leicester game? What from tonight? And it's not just about tonight. I think it's a transition over the last few games. What's in your mind that needs to switch around now? And I'm sure Conte's thinking about this as well.
Yeah, like, for me, like if I was the manager, I would like change a couple of people just to freshen up the squad and to show some players that they aren't undroppable. Because, Davies already got like the flick on the nose that you aren't 100% nailed on, right? Langley can come in, and I think that there are plenty of players that should also get this treatment, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I would probably start with Richarlison, Kane, and Kulu up front. Drop Son. I would probably drop Bentancur for one of the other midfielders, either Skip or Bissouma. I would drop Royal for Spence or Doherty, whichever it is, right? Whichever is like the fittest and the most accustomed with our tactics, I would put them in, just to change something up. But unfortunately, I feel like Conte is really stubborn, either with his formation, his favorite 11, and substitutions even. Because I know that you've spoke a lot about substitutions and why he isn't like making more subs because he doesn't trust his bench. But sometimes I feel like even if the quality drop off is there, it's not that significant in my opinion. But even if the quality drop off is there, it's fresh legs, it's fresh mind, different ideas on the pitch. Sometimes you just have to like throw different player on the pitch just to stir shit up, just to throw the opposition off balance. Because if you play with the same 11 players, in my opinion at least, if you play with the same 11 players throughout the whole 90 minutes, then they are used to the patterns that our 11 is showcasing, right? So I would just change Spence for Royal just because he makes like darting runs and he attacks defenders, the opposing defenders, right? I would just change Bissouma maybe because he is better at carrying the ball. He's better at like taking the ball to his feet and dribbling past one player, right? I would change Kulusevski for Son just because Richarlison is a different player on the left, and Kulu offers different things than Richarlison on the right, just to change things up. I think that change can be good. So yeah, I would make probably those 3 changes. Maybe put Langley in place of Davies too. I think I honestly have a feeling that Sessegnon will play, and this will probably be the only change that we make for that Leicester game. But yeah, I love Conte, but one thing annoys me with him is that he's stubborn and he doesn't really sub that often. As I said, I feel like substitutions are a key part of the game, and he should be making more of them, in my opinion. Of course, I'm not a coach. He is the guy with experience here, right? But
Michael, Conte's methods and systems have won him the Premier League at Chelsea, multiple league titles at Juventus, the league title at Inter, the cup with Inter, the cup with Chelsea. This man's a proven winner.
Yeah.
We're now asking him to change his way. My question would be this: is it he needs to change his ways, or do the club need to change their ways? Because I'm adamant on this. I think what we've done is we've just built a team this season that will get us a top 4 race and probably just about get top 4. Yeah. I don't think we've built on being in the Champions League, having Conte and a very big stadium that earns a lot of money now. I don't think he's got the players for a lot of what we want, Michael. I really don't. I think he's got the players for a top 4 race and maybe a push in a domestic cup, maybe. I don't think we can do more than that.
Yeah, like don't get me started on ownership and the transfer window, because like I've spoke with Ben and Sim a couple of times about transfer window, and they asked me at the beginning of July how do I rate the window, and I told them like right now, in my opinion, it's a 7 or an 8, just because we got a lot of the business done early. But I told them I expect more, and if we do not fulfill the needs of the squad, that my opinion of that transfer window would drop really quickly. And right now I cannot give this more like than a 4, just because Richarlison is really good, and Langley sometimes plays, and Bissouma sometimes plays. And the point that Ben made, I think his name was Ben, that we didn't drop the level of our squad, that like bringing players from the bench actually doesn't drop the level of our squad that significantly. So yeah, but right now we are in the middle of the first part of the season, and in my opinion, there is not much merit in like whining about the transfer window and owner. Sorry, whining is a wrong word. I mean complaining about the transfer window and the ownership, because right now they cannot do anything. Conte has to change something, and that's why I'm a bit pissed off with his stubbornness. That's
when I raise the ownership in the transfer window, it's not because we can't change it. I'm linking it as to why we see results like this tonight.
Yeah,
I'm trying to explain the reason I believe we lost tonight is because of those factors. That's why I raise it. You're right. We can't change it. But can Conte? Has he got the tools? We're gonna find out, right? We're about to find out what we do. I think where Spurs end up before the World Cup begins, the final, I think the last game's Leeds United at home, I believe. Where we end up there will give us an indication of what we're about, I think. Because this is now going to be his first full season with a pre-season, with the so-called being backed window. So, but anyway, Michael, listen, Saturday, what's your prediction? Leicester City.
Yeah, I think their defense is dreadful. They conceded like the second most goals in the league, but their attack is quite good actually. With how bad their team is performing, they scored 8 goals, which is actually a lot. Chelsea and United scored the same amount, so I feel like it will be Chelsea and United have 8 goals each, and you know the first team in the table that has more goals than Leicester is Fulham at 10th. So you know it actually they scored quite a few goals, but their defense is shocking. So I feel like it will be a high scoring game. Like my wild guess would be 4-2, just for the sake of it. To be entertained. I want to be entertained, and you know I want to see a lot of goals finally, because you know like I'm kind of sick of seeing 0-0 at the halftime. Like
I'm with you, Michael.
Even if they score first, I want to see like different scoreline than 0-0 and halftime.
I agree. Michael, you have a good evening, whatever you got planned. And Ben and Sim, I know they're back tomorrow, the next couple of days, so for sure you'll be chatting again.
Yeah, sure, guys.
Nice one, Michael. Thank you.
Bye.